If I could talk about anything for an endless amount of time, it would be video games. I'm not one to critique games if you haven't been able to tell from my 2 reviews on this channel. As I'm one to enjoy the feeling of a game over the objective mechanical value of it. See, I've already created a loaded statement with objective value of the game. What does that mean? Well, the overall quality of the game in comparison to other games is how I rate objectivity within the gaming landscape. Nothing is made in a vacuum. Games can be worse through time due to how I view them in this lens. I use the mechanics of other, better games to compare to others so as to understand them. If I get, well, that's not very objective, then I have no fucking idea how to be objective, and I'll gladly listen to you explain to me the mechanical objective value of a video game. So, because most reviews don't really do this and try to consume games in said vacuum, except for that weird period of time where everything was the Dark Souls of everything, which, to be fair, comparing a game to Dark Souls isn't technically bad. It gets the fucking point across that the game is either A, mechanically sound, B, difficult when you don't understand the mechanics, C, that has vague overlore that you use a fucking YouTube channel to understand, or some other random attribute that I'm sure you could probably pick up from whenever the writer or video maker is doing their review well. Or it shows that whoever is making this review doesn't play fucking Dark Souls and just thinks it's difficult, and that is the only way to define it, which shows a sort of incompetence. So yes, I'm always up for learning. If you want to teach me your version and actually apply some sort of methodology, then I'm down. If you want to say reviews should be purely subjective from the reviewer's point of view, and you need to consume multiple, then make your own opinion after buying the game, that you might have been warned not to buy through said subjective reviews, and then you end up hating the game because you listened to one of these many subjective reviews that your mind thought it should agree with to complete some sort of self-fulfilling prophecy for yourself, then I don't know what to say, really. It's like it kind of defeats the purpose of those reviews, and it sounds like the person was just trying to consume every morsel of content for that game before they play it, just so that when they did play it, it wouldn't satiate their hype and they built up in their own mind. Alright, so enough straw manning and ranting about how much reviews are completely fucked beyond repair, and let's go back to whatever the fuck I started out talking about. Right, video games and how I compare them. So, as I was saying before I went on a tangent, I like the feel of games. The game can actually be fucking garbage, but if it can grab my soul in a specific sort of way, then I can deal with whatever jank it tosses at me. Tangent incoming. See, the issue that is gonna arise is that I talked shit on Horizon Zero Dawn, and that had a lot of jank in its PC port. Now, if I was to look at it a different way, right, maybe it's just Horizon didn't click with me. It's been patched for PC, and there's just something about the characters and its world and its aesthetic that just didn't click. Now, maybe I could have gotten immersed, but the jank in that game, along with my bias against whatever is inside that game, turned me away from it. Now, a lot of people have told me that that's one of their favorite games, and who am I to tell them that they are wrong? Clearly, I'm in the minority. So, to get back to my original point, what spawned this entire thing was Cyberpunk. It's kind of shit, not gonna lie. I spent a long time playing with settings on my PC to get it to work. I saw fucking cars flying everywhere. I had more invisible weapons than necessary, and emotional cutscenes had this stupid fucking text block floating in people's faces. Fucking shrubs, edges, and all sorts of random objects could kill me for fall damage. I was stuck with 6 different versions of Johnny's clothes throughout the game, and I didn't even duplicate them. It just happened. Fucking game had the most weird-ass difficulty curve in existence, where the game starts at its apex, climaxing its hardness all in your face, and then gets limp-dicked about 10 hours in. I completed all of the gigs and NCPD bullshit to drain the city of the little bit of life it had, and after all of that, a singular moment, several singular moments stuck in my mind. The first time it happened, I was sitting in the car with Jackie, rain pouring down outside as we drove to my apartment, the city passing us by. That moment, I wasn't listening to Jackie, he was background noise. No, it was watching this almost nostalgic feeling of being a kid in a car, head pressed against the window, eyeballing the droplets of water as they fell. It was seeing the wet landscape lit up by the overhead street lamps in such a degree that my heart ached for all the road trips passing through the cities when I was younger. Later on, I was riding my bike down the main freeway in Night City, darkness overhead. It was probably around 2 a.m. in the game, and the freeway was empty. If it was due to a technical mishap, then this one I'm okay with. The full 4 lanes were gone, the yellow light shining from either side of the road. I was bumping some music they had on the radio station, and it called back to when I was driving my wife and I back from her mother's. Another dark night, no one on the road as we passed through the city into the desert. Little moments like that grabbed at me, and it keeps feeding into playing to the game, to the point I beat it. I didn't beat it out of love for the story or the characters, even though that's sort of what it felt like. And spoilers ahead, so skip to this time on the screen if you want to avoid some ending narrative stuff. It was when I was watching Lady Arasaka talk to me after she stood up from her piano, the rain drenching the skyline behind her. It was when Johnny and I are standing at the crossroads of what to do when V calls Pan Am at the top of the building, looking over once again the city's skyline, and you can feel that the city is eating what is left of V alive in that one serene moment. Then another, it is yet again setting, watching Night City's skyline, but with River Ward, enjoying a beer, staring at something that seems so far away from you now, something that still calls to you from a distance, but it's wanting, it's taking more daily from those digital citizens, the ones that complete loops that don't really fucking matter. It's almost as if that was the point, then that hurts, because that's what life is like sometimes. You're filled with going about your menial tasks, and even those tasks make you feel like these wandering zombies as this city itself eats you alive. And obviously that isn't the point. Every game developer wants to make this long, breathing world, but in their technical fuck-ups, it allows us to experience something that is almost dreadful in its entirety. It's dreadful to play with because you see there's something that breaks from our norm in reality. But it's not just that, it's a reflection of what sometimes life is like. So that's why I played Cyberpunk. And not because it's a good game. It was playable. That's the least I could ask for in this case. Let me preface this thought with no, I am not justifying any of CDPR's shady bullshit. Take them down. Take all big companies and skull drag them. I don't give a fuck. I got no horse in this race. Protect people, fuck corporations. Anyways, there's another game that got me all, feelsy. And a lot of these are gonna be newer because they're fresh in my brain. Don't worry your little fucking souls.
Which set a planet spinning in that space. Once there was an explosion. A bang which gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion.
Rain, heavy blows, dirty eyes, sweaty clothes, the routine that I've learned to understand and know.
But Death Stranding and I'm about to sound pretentious as fuck, but this game is damn near phenomenal in my eyes. How a game made walking mechanically interesting, and the mere thought of just looking at shit enjoyable, astounds me. Like, I usually am a man that requires little to keep my attention, but stacking shit on Sam's back and walking around just enjoying getting from place to place as quickly as I could was a goddamn life sin for me. But that's not what I'm here about. Instead, I want to talk about the first time that the music plays as you come up over the hill and walk down into the bay, after having just walked away from a BT encounter, and you might be tired as fuck from that experience. How Sam just casually stumbles his way over the small land pockets, the song blaring in the background, and a feeling of I hate to call it satisfaction, but a melancholy happiness builds inside of me. This world is basically fucking destroyed, but here, Sam is having faced an eldritch abomination, ready to continue his journey, and the song plays to that triumph, even though it's in the face of this vast wasteland that the United States has become. Side note, if the United States really becomes that Mars, Greenland-like terrain, we really fucked up. Right now, it feels like we're in prime time to really fuck up, so go Team America. Let's try and not let trippy Hideo Kojima bubble become reality. Just so everyone's clear, that's a joke. I feel like it might get taken seriously, and it's totally a joke. I don't know what to call these emotions other than meditative, almost relaxed, contemplating state. My brain rushing through thoughts a mile a minute, painting a canvas of collective memory to build a feeling of overwhelming serenity. Here, I'll give another example from a different game.
Did I hear a thunder? Did I hear you break? I can't quite remember just what guided me this way. Oh, stand unshaken.
Red Dead Redemption 2. I was riding my horse along the riverbank, down in the little bayou area, and the sun was rising up over the trees from the lake. I got this feeling my digital horse, a literal thing designed to be rode in the fucking video game for hours, was tired. So I got Arthur off the horse, and I grabbed its reins and began walking it along the riverbank. So, here starts another tangent. My grandfather was big into westerns. The pulpy racist ones, the more contemplative ones, any movie that had cowboys and Native Americans in it, he was sold. When I was young, I hated the living shit out of westerns. Fucking despised them. Thought they were the most boring thing in the world. If it wasn't for the first Red Dead Redemption, I don't think that mindset would have changed much as I had gotten older, but it did. We had bought the game when it first came out, and my brothers and I went down to our grandmother's for the weekend. Gammy was my papa's wife, and she was the reason we actually went down, because my grandfather could be a mean son of a bitch. See, she was our caretaker for most of our lives, and was the reason that we got into video games. But that's another story. No, this is one of the few moments I bonded with my papa. See, my grandfather hated that we played video games, thought us growing up and playing them like this would make us pussies.
Candy boy, why you got so many necklaces? Why you got necklace? Smell like bitch in here. All y'all smell like bitch to me. Why you in my house? Why you at my fireplace at my dinner?
Put my mama house on fire cause she
She ain't let me color. You lit your house on fire. I was 13 years old. I would inflate an inflatable pool and fill it up with Sherman, get butt naked and oil myself. Welcome to my life.
Surprised, it didn't affect me much besides I have an infatuation with him that causes me to talk for minutes on end. So when I sat down and booted up Red Dead Redemption in front of him, and we got that first taste of John Marston and what was to come, my grandfather sat there on the couch glued, sweet tea in hand, watching as if it was a movie. He looked at me and I remember him saying, "Wow, Tris, your game there looks like one of my movies." And then he smiled and kept watching. He got to the point where once he realized I'm the one that controlled the gun, that he wanted me to shoot everyone, but I think that's baby's first open world. Let's see how many civilians can be killed before you're shut down. As months passed until we beat it, I refused to play the game unless he was sitting there watching me. My brothers completed it and tried to get all the achievements while I sat back and enjoyed this rather M-rated story with my papa. And you know, that is a memory that will always remain with me. He loved to watch me hunt. I remember that distinctly. He would sit and say things like, "You see that bear there, Tris? Shoot him," and then laugh. Or, "There's a rabbit, run it over with your horse." Then just as previously laugh. It was legit like playing with a 12-year-old that had just found out what you could do in video games for the first time. And it made my 16-year-old me extremely happy. Alright, tangents over. Where do you think this is going? Am I going to talk about how sad it is that I don't get to see my papa and that it brings me back to better times when playing Red Dead Redemption 2? Fuck no. That old bastard is still alive and kicking, playing Animal Crossing every day since we introduced it to him. No, Red Dead Redemption 2 made me feel growth. It called back when I had that old geezer on my shoulder being my devil, telling me to do things that entertained him, letting him basically play the game through me. As that sun rose over the trees, hitting the lake in a perfect sheen, glinting off as I walked the horse down the bank, I felt a change of heart I've had as I've grown. Now, don't get me wrong before I say this next sentence. I still enjoy the good old-fashioned gore fest and violence in video games. But as I walked that horse calmly to the wind, this was my form of entertainment. It wasn't just meaningless violence. It was a peaceful stroll down by the water, my equestrian friend beside me enjoying the rising morning sun. It was realizing that I found more enjoyment in this relatively simple act than I ever had engaging with the hostile mechanics. That shift in tone, that growth I brought up, it's something that happens to all of us, but feeling it through a game rather than, the progression of life, which is kind of something that happens regardless of if you want it to or not. To me, that is something truly special. Like in Ocarina of Time, that drastic tonal shift from a pleasant adventure to save the land of Hyrule with sprinkles foreshadowing the epic disaster that is to come. Those two ebbs and flows show, as that whole game does, the passage of time and its effects on everything. I could continue ranting for God knows how long, but I'll save that for another time. Maybe this doesn't make any sense. I really don't care if it was word soup as long as it conveyed the feeling. That feeling of reflections, of time passing, and of memories that have passed. Lodged in the crevice of my brain are all these thoughts, and sometimes a game will shine a light on it, bring it up and dust it off. Something I forgot to think about, something I forgot to mention. I know that I have way more stories about Red Dead Redemption 2 and Death Stranding. I just don't think they fit in this context. Till next time, this has been a Tree Talk. Leave me a like, branch out to that fucked it up subscribe button, and maybe plant some roots in the comment section. Now, I'm gonna make like a tree and leave.